mandate all of us as experts to implement. And about the summit, we should not lower the bar. We are not going to disappoint our MEC. South Africa has good policies. What is needed now is implement. We are not going to start new policies and discuss them. Lower the bar, nor disappoint us. We have global experts in the room and believe that MEC trusted you to activate the Northwest as a construction site, as he always says. Ladies and gentlemen, you all are welcome in Moses Kotane. The MEC always says we do not have time to waste time, which means we would like to see whoever is in this room implementing what is needed. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free, be open to have discussions with our guests and all that. At the end of it all, you all are welcome. Thank you.
My apologies for arriving late. Good morning, everyone. We are now on item number 6. Item number 6. May I request the representative from the Northwest House of Traditional and Khoisan leaders to address us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. To the Honorable Premier in absentia, Ntate Bushima Ape, and we wish him well. The Honorable MEC, Ntate Nonomaloi, and all MECs present here. Executive Mayor of Bojanala District Municipality and all mayors present here. Mahosi from the House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, represented by myself, Tolo, and Khosi Shole Mutloum. Chairperson of Salga, Councillor Khumalo Molefe, heads of departments, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang Bagaetsho. Program Director, it is an honor and privilege to be addressing this August gathering, which takes place a day after a very important day in our continent, which is Africa Day. Africa Day is observed on 25 May, and it is on this day that we commemorate the founding of the Organization of African Unity, which is now known as the African Union, on 25 May 1963. The month of May is African Month, and this partners to overcome the challenge of inadequate housing. The other challenge which we are all grappling with is the mushrooming of shacks and houses built in areas not suitable for habitation, and the floods in Dielpan, in Tswaing, should raise alarms for all stakeholders, traditional leaders included, to refrain from allocating land which is not suitable for building any form of structure, be it houses or business. We applaud a stance taken by the Minister of Human Settlement, Mamoloko Kubai, who announced during the budget speech recently that we have decided to embrace innovative building technologies so that our solutions are sustainable and of good quality, with efficiency and cost effectiveness, and of good quality, being the primary drivers of our disaster response. Accordingly, our primary method of response to disaster will no longer include temporary residential units. Instead, it will prioritize alternative building technologies. In this way, our immediate intervention will provide a permanent solution and do away with double expenditure on temporary accommodation, and then afterwards, a permanent solution. This will go a long way in addressing the ever-escalating number of people in need of houses. As traditional leaders, we pledge our support to working with government across all levels to find lasting solution to the challenges bedeviling our country. Let there be houses, security, and comfort. Pula. Ke a leboga.
I would like to take you back to on the program. I have requested the team to play the national anthem for us. If we can stand up and allow the national anthem to play. As we do that, after the national anthem, we'll then go to the time of a moment of silence in remembrance and observing the challenges that we have with HIV/AIDS, also in remembrance of the brothers and sisters that perished during COVID. stand. Let the land of Africa and Can I then request the Executive Mayor of Moses Kotane to light the candle for us as we remember those that have fallen through different diseases and catastrophes.
We are no longer. Ladies and gentlemen, as we light the candle, can we hold each other's hand?
Thank you, Mayor. I do understand that we are pressed and we are also behind time, but I'm hopeful that we are going to try and move as fast as we can, and we are going. What comes out of here is what we call implementation. I want to also correct this part which says keynote address. The Honorable MEC is going to give us the purpose of this meeting or this gathering that we have. MEC.
No, thank you very much, Program Director. We are trying to speed up the process because you will understand that this summit was supposed to be over 3 days. But like I said at the beginning, due to other events that are taking place this weekend, we had to make sure that we congest everything in 1.5 days. So therefore, this summit will be a working session. Will not make a lot of speeches because we are here to work. Now, I want to acknowledge the following people who are here with us today. If I don't acknowledge you, it is not deliberate, but I've just chosen this few. I want to acknowledge the presence of Maxim, who is the Russian trade representative. Where is Maxim? I also want to acknowledge Ika. Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika? Ika is the Turkey commercial counselor. Where is Ika Oh. I also want to, this one, the name is very simple. I suspect she's from KwaZulu-Natal. I want to acknowledge Bengu. She's a Turkey commercial councillor as well. See, that one is very simple. I also want to acknowledge Arthur from Magzi Living Company in Netherlands. Where is Arthur? Oh. If I did not acknowledge others, we shall do so as we proceed with our program. I must also indicate that the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders in the Northwest was here earlier on. Because they are having elections, they had to leave with the other traditional leaders to go and observe and ensure that those elections, they run smoothly without challenges. And the person who was addressing us earlier on here is Kosimu Tibi. Kosimu Tibi, I'm introducing her because the program director did not do so. Okay, ma khosi ke itse le gato go emisiwa mare e ke tiwa go batho ba bona go khosi Mothibi ke mang ke tla go duela khomo. And also we have Khosi Shole also with us today. Khosi Shole, yeah, normally you know that Haremi City Khosi, but in this session today, because we have people from other countries as well, it's important they must know when we talk about Kgosi Mothibi, who are we referring to? Or as we network during lunch, you know which traditional leaders you must network with and so on, because we might end up the mayor of Madibeng saying he's a traditional leader only to establish that he is not. Now, my task is a simple one. Like I said, we are not going to make speeches. It's just to indicate what is it that we would want to achieve out of this summit, which is, of course, and I must emphasize, a working session. Now, some of you, if not all of you, are from the Northwest. You know the challenges that we have in the Northwest as it relates to the backlog in terms of housing or human settlements in the Northwest. Secondly, all of you, you also know about the incomplete projects that we have in the Northwest, whether it's blocked, it's incomplete or abandoned projects. The third point, you also know that the construction of our houses in the Northwest, they take forever. At times, a project takes more than 5 years to construct less than 500 units and so on, which is a serious challenge. Now, what we want from this summit, firstly, is for presenters to tell us how are they going to assist the Northwest Provincial Government to build houses quickly, not to take more than 3 years to build 1,000 units or 5,000 units. Quickly, because we want a quick response. But those houses which we must build quickly, it must be better and affordable houses. They must be better than what we have today, but secondly, those houses must be affordable. The third point, which I raised earlier on, is to resolve the housing backlog in the Northwest, once and for all, within a very short space of time. Not 10 years, not 5 years, and so on. I always say to the officials in my department that the unfortunate thing with me is that I was appointed as the MEC towards the end of November last year. and my term of office is coming to an end in May next year. So I don't have 5 years, I don't have 2 years. I have a year. So, which means we must resolve the backlog within 12 months. So others are saying it's a miracle. And I always say to others, if miracles did happen many, many years ago, when Jesus Christ was still alive, so let's repeat that. Let's repeat those miracles. The other matter, which is a serious challenge, not only in the Northwest, but in the entire country, is the energy crisis. We would want people who are here today to tell us what alternative energy sources do they have which are affordable for our people in the Northwest and so on. Because whilst we are waiting for the Minister of Electricity or the national government to ensure that they implement the strategy that we have, which is going to resolve this crisis once and for all. But immediately now, we need to resolve that problem, as in yesterday. We can't wait for tomorrow. We can't wait for a day before tomorrow. We need to resolve it now. Now, if you go to different municipalities in the Northwest, and the case in point will be your Weygrond development, you will realize that at times we build houses where there are no bulk services. And as a result, sanitation becomes a serious problem. We would want you, ladies and gentlemen, to share with us what possibilities exist in order for you to assist municipality with bulk services. Because once we have bulk, you are then able to roll out housing delivery as quickly as possible. So we want to explore those possibilities, because the challenge of bulk is a huge challenge in the Northwest province. But you are, of course, not limited to the issues that I'm raising today, because infrastructure challenges are just too many, and they are not only isolated to housing. You might have challenges as it relates to roads, challenges as it relates to your water infrastructure, and so on and so forth. If you have solutions and suggestions to make, you need to do so. The other problem which we would want to attend to, the state does not have unlimited resources in order for us to meet the demand. The demand is just too huge and so on. And I would want you, as you interact with us and so on, you must be able to say, as the private sector, what are you bringing on the table in order to assist government to be able to deliver on the backlogs that we are talking about. We are hoping that after this session, what we will then do is to sign memorandum of understanding with different stakeholders as to what is it that they are going to do. Already, I've had an interaction with the delegation from Netherlands, the Maxi Living Company, who are saying this is what we would want to offer. And I will not speak on their behalf. They will speak for themselves. We have already had a HOD. I did not see BRICS WBA. Are they here? Oh, they are here. Apologies, I did not recognize you. The BRICS WBA, they are also here. We would also want to hear from them as to what is it that they want to offer. I've already, by the way, had some sessions with them before this interaction. They will then put on the table what is it that they are bringing, what partnerships are they looking at, and so on. So all these things, by the way, we would want them to happen within this financial year. So let's do miracles happen. I want miracles. I want what happened BC. No, was it BC? No, it's not BC. After the death, is it not BC? Before the birth of Christ, is it BC, Pastor? Is it BC? Yeah, there are pastors here. They'll be able to help me. Yeah, what happened before the death of Christ, or before the birth of Christ and so on must happen. So we want miracles. We want to see miracles in the Northwest. But seeing those miracles, we want quality. RDP houses, as we speak, or what we refer to as the PNGs and so on, they don't last. After a year or 2 years, there are cracks all over and so on. So we don't want that joke any longer in the Northwest Province. We don't want that joke. And I said earlier on, we want a better house and an affordable house. I know there's one company which, by the way, I've fallen in love with the house that they say they can build and so on. We want something like that, but as they present, you will see what is it that we are talking about and so on. Something very different, something which our people will be able to value. Because what you might be knowing by now is that as we build these RDP houses and so on, beneficiaries or owners of those houses, after some time they sell those houses because they don't see value, they don't appreciate that house and so on, because it's the same old thing. And so we want to bring a different thing which our people will be able to value. As he gets in there, he must be able to say, this I can't sell. This is the house where my children, my grandchildren and so on will stay in and so on. So basically that is the purpose, and like I said, we don't have to be long. Even yourself, program director, shorten the introductions and so on. You want to move with speed. I know you work in my department. I know you like explaining a lot of things and very slowly. Today we want velocity. Velocity, it means a maximum speed, which is tantamount to that one of what you have in Russia and America. What do you call those things that you use to bomb other countries? Yeah, all those things. So we want you to move with velocity. You must move with speed. We want to get into business. We are in a working session. Thank you very much, Program Director. If he is not there, I'm going to proceed. I don't see him, I will chair. Oh.
My job is on the line, eh? I want to be very careful. We are now going into session 1. Session 1, we are going to receive presentations coming from ABT projects and companies. A colleague of mine was telling me that it would be best not to say much when I request Lebogang Zulu to come up so that she can detail properly what is BRICS and what is WBA and what is it that they bring to the province. Lebogang. Have I represented you correct?
Yeah, no, you did. Good morning, colleagues. Each time I'm in front of a mic and a podium, I always feel almost like a politician, and I'm not. My name is Lebogang Zulu. I am an engineering graduate that has appreciation and respect for the synergy that exists between politics and economics. Now, in that appreciation, for whatever reason, in 2020, Minister Nchabeni thought it's a good idea to take an engineering graduate and turn her into a chairperson of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. Didn't get it at the time, but now I get it. It's because of the appreciation between the synergy that exists between those two. So if I may humbly request a roving mic, just so I can feel like Lebogang and not a politician, please. So while the roving mic is coming, let me acknowledge the MEC, MEC Reba Maloi. Excuse me. I thought the MEC said we're here to work and not to be making speeches. May I be allowed to do me, please? Thank you. MEC, I recognize you and thank you for inviting BRICS WBA. I recognize other MECs, gorgeous queens that I do know. Wish to recognize a very important queen, Khosi Motibi. Recognize, of course, another very important queen, the mother of the municipality. Recognize the head of department. I do not see them. But most importantly, I wish to recognize our colleagues from BRICS, particularly Buriv from Russia. I do recognize all our colleagues from the international platform, and I really am grateful that you are here. Is the mic here? Okay, they are refusing to give me a roving mic, so they don't want me to do me. When we speak about BRICS, South Africa is part of many multilateral organizations, fact. Kgosi Mothibi said today we speak and we engage a day after Africa Day. But what are we celebrating as Africa? An Africa that went to the world many, many years ago and said to the world, "World, I have a missile. My missile is my people, my land, my minerals, my resources. Heck, you can even trade weather. I need you to help me with tools so I can launch my missile for the benefit of my people." But the world was very bully towards Africa. The world said, Africa, you don't need tools right now to launch that missile. You need aid. Your people are hungry. We're going to give you aid. Your people are bleeding. We're going to give you bandages, certainly not tools. In the bulliness, the world was very happy to be taking and benefiting from what Africa has. But Agenda 2063 gives us a different perspective altogether, which is why multilateral organizations such as BRICS, much like the G20 that is coming to South Africa in 2025, has got to benefit the country, has got to benefit the country's economy, has got to benefit the continent's economy. But how does it benefit the country's economy? Who is the economy? What is the economy? The business people that are sitting in this room are the economy. Whether you're a small business, micro business, a medium-sized business, you are a business. And BRICS says to you, I am here. The BRIC countries are saying to us, we are here to trade. They know what their agenda is. They want to sell to us as much as they can. So surely our agenda as South Africa is exactly that. We also want to sell as much to them as we can. If anything, because we are friends, Maxime, I am looking at you, my dear brother, and of course our Turkey friends and the Netherlands friends. We are also a country that's seeking to grow its economy. We are a continent that seeks to grow our economy. We're certainly not anybody's damn side. So when we knock on your doors and we say, where are those brilliant technologies? Can we enter into technology transfer partnerships? Those are conversations we want to have. But that is just an opening. MEC, you spoke about solutions. You said we must come here and talk about solutions. When we took over chairship, presidency of BRICS on the 6th of February 2023, we said as BRICS Women's Business Alliance, an officially recognized structure within the BRICS architecture of cooperation. We said to our colleagues and other BRIC member states that this year is going to be different. This year, during South Africa's presidency, we are following the core theme of what our presidency is all about, and that speaks to partnerships for accelerated growth. It speaks to sustainable development, and it speaks to inclusive multilateralism. And that is between BRICS and Africa, which means, simply translated, we are trading this year. We are looking for trading partners. We are looking to sign partnerships, and we've started executing on that. So we've got our own strategy as BRICS WBA for 2023, and that is to grow our economy with women and SMMEs at the center. We cannot do it any other way. MEC, today you speak about inviting technologies, service providers with different technologies. Absolutely accurate. We need technology to move the housing space, the energy space. However, is it the right time, and who's bringing it? Is it being brought by the world that says, how do I make money out of South Africa? Or is it being brought in partnership with our women, with our young people, with our black people. Because if we don't consider that, we will find ourselves at the end having all these beautiful houses, all these energy solutions, but with an economy that is as unjust as it is right now. So reality always strikes us in the face, of course, that says, China, we need your money to dilute the money matters in our country. Because when you go to the bank, you say, bank, I want to develop my economy, I want to build capacity in my country. I want to build my people's capacity, my micros, my small, my medium-sized businesses, I want them to grow. Because where they grow, they increase the output. Where they increase the output, the country is trading more in the global space, and that results in a trade surplus, yeah? But where we're borrowing money, question we ought to ask ourselves, are we running fiscal on borrowed money that is pro-development or against development? And if the reality is staring us in the face, we are borrowing money that is not a pro-development. But China calls itself our friend in BRICS, and there's a conversation we've had with them. To say, you call yourself our friend in BRICS, you go and you invest in one of the local commercial banks, but you don't change a model, you don't empower, you don't support our SMMEs. So China says, Lebogang, what do we do? Then we're like, okay, now we're ready to talk. So MEC, you asked what BRICS WPA is bringing. BRICS WPA is bringing investment into the province. It is bringing investment from our Russian partners, from our Chinese partners, from our Indian partners, and also from our Brazil partners. What is this investment? This investment, it is, yes, to build capacity of our women and our micro businesses to be able to own technologies, to be able to work with these bigger economies so that South Africa can begin to also move, increase its output. We currently have negative trade balances between South Africa and each of the BRIC countries. That situation is not going to change unless we start growing that pool, the pool of our SMMEs towards ensuring that the country's economy grows. It is uncomfortable conversations, I do acknowledge that, but necessary conversations. So we're also bringing technology transfer partnerships. It is not bring your technology, but partner with our people in bringing the technology. Whether the technology is talking to housing, whether the technology is talking to road networks, for that matter, energy, you know, these are the different technologies that our friends in BRICS have. You know, I've recently been to Beijing, and Beijing, much bigger country than ours, of course, or bigger city than a country for that matter. But the transport network system is as seamless as anything, purely because of the technology that they've brought into their road network systems. These are technologies that we're seeking to bring. So as we build houses, people have got to be able to move, MEC. So we're not only looking at partnerships insofar as bringing building technologies, but how do we get water to the people? How do we get energy to the people? How do we build a smart grid, a smart city that is off the grid completely? We've got waste, there's waste to energy solutions. We've got water in certain parts of the country. There's hydro solutions that our partners have in different BRIC countries. So ours, MEC, is for you to say to Mamina, what do you want us to go find? We'll go find and bring it. But when we bring it, we're bringing it to your women, we are bringing it to your SMMEs, because it becomes important that we build the pool of those SMMEs to be able to go trade in Africa. Africa has a backlog of over 55 million houses. Who's going to build those houses? So that pool that we are looking at bringing, it is exactly intended to do just that. So 2023 is very important for us as BRICS in its entirety, but more so as BRICS Women's Business Alliance. Because this very journey that we are traveling on started with scoping missions, engaging our different BRIC partners to say, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for, our people have projects, they need investment. Our people have projects, they need capacity building partnerships. It is a capacity building partnership that we are bringing here. That will not only develop just over 3,000 SMMEs in this province. It is not a training, it's not a training program. It is a capacity building program, which means that smart city will actually be built by the very people that will be trained. We want to make sure that technologies that are building that smart city are technologies that are sitting in the hands of our women. We are no longer talking gender equality, we are now talking gender equity as a primary driver of equality, and hence this particular approach. I had hoped that they were going to play our video that talks to the IBT Capacity Development Program. Okay, I'm getting a signal that that is ready. Let me see if I may be allowed. It's only just less than 5 minutes. If I may be allowed for everybody to just listen to exactly the solution that we are bringing, so we could engage much more effectively. Thank you.
We are living in unprecedented times, where poverty and unemployment continues to challenge all of us, where global warming and climate change are no longer foreign concepts, a reality of which has seen homes being washed away by disastrous floods and natural disasters. Informal settlements which are homes to millions of South Africans, subjected to increased wildfires, causing significant damages to the lives and livelihoods of our people. These realities come on the back of an unequal economic participation landscape in an era where the fourth industrial revolution has fueled the next wave of innovations in almost every sector of the economy, presenting an opportunity to address gender inequality in the construction industry and prepare women and youth construction entrepreneurs to service ever-increasing demands for homes and social infrastructures, and the construction labor market is an urgent need for skills of the future. In the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution, technology leads construction in a period where the conventional brick and mortar systems are not able to deliver at a speed the demand requires. In a period where access for participation of women and youth entrepreneurs in the construction material supply chain continues to be restricted by monopolies and imports from developed countries. In a period where, despite the recent spate of economic growth, the country and the African continent remains afflicted by entrenched poverty, alarming high and rising rates of inequalities and unemployment. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to grow, and where the need for greater economic integration is ever so urgent. Developed as an economic growth strategy through building capacity for transforming the construction industry and creating a pool of SME suppliers and service providers to increase export market trading activities. The IBT Construction Business Capacity Development Program is a brainchild of the Industrialization and Strategic Localization Working Group of the South African chapter of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. The program has been designed and developed in partnership with AE South Africa, MM Developments, My Arts International, and African Trade and Investment Council. What are we solutioning for? The IBT Construction Biz Hub and its training program has been designed to bridge the IBT construction value chain knowledge gap, thus presenting opportunities for growth and development of the construction SME sector of the country. Knowledge is power. Power provides information. Information leads to education. Education breeds wisdom. Wisdom is liberation. Women and youth entrepreneurs are not liberated because of lack of knowledge, access to innovations and technologies, and inability to access market opportunities. The training program seeks to develop an army of technologically inclined and capable women and youth construction entrepreneurs to bridge market access challenges and constraints. Thirdly, the training program seeks to develop an army of capable construction entrepreneurs that will contribute to the country and the continent's growth aspirations. South Africa is one of a number of multilateral firms presenting growth opportunities and improves the lives and livelihoods of women and youth construction entrepreneurs. It is further about transforming the face of low-cost housing designs from a cheap box design to a smart homes design that restores the dignity and pride of the poorest population of our nation. From poor South Africans are without decent housing. The housing deficit for the poor is estimated at just over 2 million, and an average of 6 people per family. That leaves about 12 million people in dire need of climate-responsive and sustainable houses. Some of our poorest communities currently live in substandard dwellings in established townships, but many are in the 2,700 informal settlements across the country. These substandard and inhumane shacks are homes to millions of black South African families. Currently, the housing backlog in the African continent accounts for at least 51 million units, with large variation across countries. The continent's dependence on imported materials to service its demand for building infrastructure needs results in high.
We will actually, do I have a feed? I think this is a beautiful video that we should request to be flighted through, if with Labour's permission, because it talks to what we are here for. Due to the time constraints, I'm going to call the second speaker as he's coming through. I want us to remind ourselves that when you do the same thing over and over again, you will still arrive at the same answer. It doesn't matter how fast you do it. If you have the same formula, you'll arrive at the same answer.
To say, you know, there is once in a while something happens that changes everything in the world. In 2007, when Apple launched the iPhone, it changed the whole world. And it's absolutely true that if you do what you've always done, you'll have what you've always had. And if you don't change, you will not progress in any way. Innovation is by far the most important thing in any development. Samsung used to be 2 herring fishermen, and today they employ 300,000 people. The same for Hyundai. They used to be bicycle builders before they built an empire of car manufacturing. In South Africa, we are faced with the energy crisis, the home shortages that we have, poverty, and of course, how do we manage all this to introduce new technologies to a culture in Africa? Our philosophy and how we are going to change the industry might be a little bit of a shock to some people, but what we are doing will create jobs, it will make money for everybody involved, and it will change the culture. I come from the aviation industry, where I've spent most of my career working for Boeing and Airbus, and it's been quite the inspiration for me to actually get into this development, because what was absolutely mind-blowing is to understand how the manufacturing of an airplane works. And so you would think, what has that got to do with a house? But just out of interest, does anybody actually know how long it takes to build a 737 airplane? No? It's interesting, but they build between 4 and 6 airplanes a day. So Airbus builds between 6 and 8 airplanes a day. So how is it possible that we can build cars out of a factory, we can build airplanes out of a factory, and we're all happy consumers about them, but we cannot solve a big problem around housing? So now the next big problem is, of course, concrete. Concrete, if put together, concrete and steel would be the 3rd largest city with carbon footprint in the world. That's enormous, which is what I'm saying, you know, concrete and steel is not a way to build the future. The problem, I have to go back one. This thing's going all the wrong way. It's supposed to go back. I'll start. Can I just restart that one? My apologies for that. It just kept pressing forward. Oh, that's a bummer. They just went to the wrong one here. Can you make my mic a little bit louder? Okay. Right. So when we look at concrete and materials in the world that we need to do mining with, the problem is all of these materials don't grow back. In 2055, there will be no more copper mines to have copper from. In 2099, we will be having no aluminum mines anymore. So this is not a sustainable product. Our planet doesn't regrow these materials. What does grow back is wood. And I say wood is the new high tech. And everything that we've talked about here today so far is innovation. How can we create sustainability? How can we produce things fast? Wood allows us in Europe to build bridges, to build skyscrapers. Amsterdam Central Station is built on 10,000 wooden poles that's sitting in the ocean. These are really the future of how we build sustainable quality homes. What we've done is we manufacture our homes, and we've got a showcase project which we've done near Lanseria, and it addresses all the issues that we talk about here today. You know, infrastructure, sewer, water, jobs. And these homes are built fast, like the airplanes. We build 4 to 6 homes a day. We're actually capable of doing that. They're built with wood, they're very strong, and they're more sustainable than people think it is. The wood is an incredible product, and I think the difference is that people have Wendy homes in mind when they look at a wooden home. Wendy homes are generally not protected, and the wood is exposed, and what we do is our wood is not exposed. It's manufactured like that, and then you get a beautiful home. These homes are basically their own energy source, so they're off the grid, and the whole estate that we've developed is basically, you know, self-sustainable. So what do? So we build the homes in a factory. In the factory, we create education, because what we do is we're training people. So that's how we create the jobs, and by manufacturing the homes. At the same time, it allows everybody to collaborate together. So we need to work together with government, education, and businesses in order to innovate, to advance in these type of technologies. Social cohesion is a very big issue, and I'll show you a little bit more about how I plan to do this on my estate and how it works. And of course, it's based on the future. So this is what our homes look like. They're beautiful. They come with their kitchens, they come, and they're turnkey. It's amazing. It compares better to any brick and mortar house. So how does it work? In the Netherlands, we have made our zones into smaller, compact zones. Instead of having large infrastructure problems, we build small, almost islands in a community. And they consist of an education area, they consist of a medical area, and then everything is mixed together. We have social, we have affordable, and we have the high-end people all living together. A social cohesive plan to bring people together works in Europe, and it will work here too. And while we're in South Africa looking at always dealing with informal settlements and rich areas, you know, and we keep hearing the terms that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, it's because the developers themselves don't take the initiative to build social programs for the people. So what we're doing is doing exactly this on our site. So we have affordable homes, and we are, as a developer, we will build social houses back in. That way we take people and bring them from an informal settlement, and we can put them into proper houses. So I believe this is the only way we can create a social cohesive plan. The next thing is we need to create small industries in that area. Now this picture you see here is just actually a street from below, and it's a bit more dense, but it's not malls. It's small business. Your groceries, your doctors, your pharmacies, and everything within walking distance of everything you do. So when we built these social cohesive plans with an all-inclusive infrastructure, it's very easy to do. We can build 5 to 6 to 8,000 homes in a community like this with all the businesses, in less than a year. And that's what the manufacturing part of the business is so essential. So working with wood is really going to change how South Africa is going to develop, in my view. What else needs to happen is 0.6% skill level of skills. It's a big problem. We don't have that much skills. Now, what is interesting, in the Netherlands we had this problem 100 years ago. And the problem is we were at a 0.6% skill level then, and we set up and fixed it by building training centers. And that's part of what we're doing. So we've started building our school in where we start with the youth, because it's the kids of today that's going to lead the future of tomorrow. And so in our program, we also built the schools, the education, and built everything together. The same structure in wood can be used in anything, and here you can see what we are planning and building as our education center near Lansira. So this can be done not just for a school, but it can also be done for, the small bakery we want, or the small grocery shop, vegetable shops. And that way we allow small business owners to grow with the estate. And so there's no point to go and build a Moscow city because they've got 20 million people in their city, rather than looking at South Africa. I don't believe for the space we have to build skyscrapers and big, we've got enough space, and if we build properly and design so that we can have a social cohesive plan, then it will be a game changer for South Africa. So it's very easily said and done, and everybody says, yeah, that's very theoretical and it's all on paper, but if you come and look at Lansira, we've actually proved it to be correct. We've built it. Our whole estate is off the grid. It's completely geared up towards the future. And when I mean towards the future, I can see that when we build an off-the-grid estate, the next big thing is people worry about in South Africa is their mobility. They all want to have a car. But the problem is, I don't see that as a solution, because what we need to do as a community, take all that energy that we generate together from our solar and build an energy storage system to charge electric cars. And then, we put 30 or 40 or 50 cars with an app that people can go and rent the car for the day or the 2 hours that they need it. And then it's about mobility that they have, not about owning a car. And that creates, flexibility for people in the economic contributions. I do think that there's lots to do in the area. Manufacturing can produce a lot of homes, but also the solution, it's not just an energy solution, it's not just an infrastructure solution, it's a turnkey solution. And we've proved it to the people. We have buyers, we have residents living in our estate. And what's really, really important is it's not a construction site. When you come and visit our site and you see how it's done, we have residents living there while we're manufacturing homes in a factory somewhere else and assembling them on site. We build purely with wood. And if you come and look, some of the guests, the honorable guests, have already seen it. It's amazing. You can actually not believe it. So what we need to do is we need to work together that we can create a social part of a development. We build and sell, but we also contribute by building social. And that way, we take away the burden of the informal settlements and put them together, and everybody has some dignified and human buildings. I don't believe in small 40 square meter homes, like you said. RDP homes fall apart eventually because they are poorly built. These are homes that will last 75 to 100 years. They'll outlive any concrete home. 75% of the United States is built in wood. And with that, I think we can contribute and really make a significant change in how we can save the planet, reduce the carbon. And one more thing about the carbon. Our site is 750 homes that we're building, which saves 77,000 tons of carbon because we don't use concrete. And carbon is the reason that we have floods in KZN and that, we have the urban flooding. So the more we can all work together towards a solution where we use carbon neutral products like wood and sustainable technologies, the better it'll be for the future. Thank you.
May I acknowledge the the presence of heads of institutions. Protocol does not allow me to acknowledge political heads. I can only acknowledge the heads of institutions. I've seen the CEO of our development partner, housing development agents, Mr. Kenisa, and also the CEO of our agency, Mr. Mokoteri. I'll keep on introducing, also acknowledging other administrators or senior managers that have graced this occasion. Can I then give MEC to delegate?
Yeah, no, no, thank you. You will recall that earlier on when we spoke about WBA, we said the pilot will be in JB Max because of the proximity to the airport, the proximity to the university, because it is going to attract other African countries to come and see the same project.
Yes.
Now, this one, Netherlands, the pilot will be in Madibeng. By the way, I must just indicate that they are ready to deliver about 30,000 units. So the pilot will be in Madibeng. And on Monday, myself together with the mayor must stand and his team. Arthur, where are you? You must see your people. Where is Arthur? Yeah. Now, this is the mayor. So myself, the mayor and his team, we will be going to Lanseria to go and see what they've done there. And once we are done, our pilot for this one, that is the Netherlands, will be in Madibeng. So we are starting on Monday. You can proceed.
Thank you. I'm sure the municipality that is not here today is going to regret, because it does look like there is something serious happening. There is what we call a quantum leap. There is what we call a paradigm shift. If you add those two, the outcome is a change and doing things differently. So this is change at hand that we are seeing. Can I then call Mr. Nodada from SIGA? We're catching up with time, I can see that. But I also want to request Mr. a good gentleman that is right at the back to come to the front, Mr. Mike Hill, to come and sit at the front here, so that when his turn comes, he doesn't need to walk the distance. Come up, Nodada.
Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm learning new things every day. You know, he said that he only acknowledges officials only. You know, so I can only say all protocol observed as a businessman. You know, I'm not new. My name is Patrick Lolo Nodada. Those who know me close call me Pat, but those who don't know me call me Patricia, Patrice, and all of that, you know. And I'm intending to shoot those, you know, very soon. But thank for welcoming back to Northwest. I'm not new to the Northwest province. Some years ago, I think in early 2000s, I used to run EPWP program when it was introduced. You know, I think one of my guys that used to work for me was Dr. Sean Phillips. When he was poached by the presidency, then I stopped doing the EPWP program. And in Northwest, I can certainly say that some of the people that I've met today and other days, there were SMMEs then. Now they are bigger contractors today. So that's my story of empowering Northwest, you know. And I also want to say this as a kind of a background, you know. I was defended in Parliament when I was talking about local content by now MEC for Treasury, you know. I think she was chair of portfolio committee at DTI, you know. In my day job, I manufacture buses, you know, those buses that you see in Gautrain. When you see a Gautrain bus, it comes out of my factory in Randfontein and in Cape Town. When you see the buses in Cape Town, they come out from my factory in Cape Town. When you see buses all over in the continent, they come from the factory that I manufacture from Randfontein. As an early opportunity, it allowed me to grow into understanding certain things quick and fast. I dreamt of being an engineer. I came here in 1986, and I stopped dreaming about engineer after I saw this place. I actually then became an accountant because Saul Kesner was an accountant, and he was the same height as me when I was 10 years old. That was 1986. You can count my age now, you know, and you can testify to says how old I am. Today I come back to this province by invitation and by recall, you know. We're developing Lanseria Smart City in Gauteng and Northwest. But I was told to say that we keep forgetting the Northwest when we're doing the Lanseria Smart City. And we say that we have a partnership with Madiweng. We understand to say that this is a national or intergovernmental project. So we'll make sure that we integrate Northwest in part of our plan. So in anything that we do is to integrate into that. I was going to try and play a video to tell you the story in a video format, but because of time, I think I can be able to share this story quickly because it's something that is close to my heart and I understand it better than everyone. We'd like to create 450,000 jobs in the Northwest, and we're going to create those jobs by building 50,000 smart units into the Northwest. And we're going to build those 50,000 units in 4 corridors of Northwest. You know, in Mahikeng, next to the airport, in the our college and aviation hub. And then we're also going to develop a smart city around Pilansberg with the Bakubong tribe. And then we're going to do Madiweng housing. And then we're going to do about 10,000 houses in Madiweng. And then we're going to do another 5,000 houses towards the border of between South Africa and Botswana. In these 4 projects, as significant as they are, this is what we do differently. I'm an accountant. I understand structured finance. So if you look at the buses that you see at Gautrain, they always look good, you know. The only reason that they look good is the fact that I offer $1,000 to anyone who will see that Gautrain bus standing on the road. So what I've done to make sure that I keep my $1,000 all the time, I make sure that those buses are financed, serviced, maintained on a 24/7 period. And you will never see a Gautrain that is standing on the road. I can still offer you today $1,000 anytime. Buses that have been running for almost 10 years, we are running them here at Sun City. We've got 4 buses that are running, are transporting people. They're still in gold colors. Those buses are actually 10 years old, but if you look at them, they still look good, you know. So we understand that part of a business. So what are we going to do, or what are we doing in the housing that is going to be able to deliver us that opportunity and all of that? People are building houses, but they don't plan sewer, they don't plan water, and they don't plan energy, okay? So we're not interested in building up the top structure. We are interested in actually building the bulk infrastructure where we invest our own funds into the bulk infrastructure. And then we'll come to the government and say to them at a later stage, you know, if you are interested in participating into this housing and all of that. Come and build a top structure, but we've given the foundation. And then we will take a transfer when the house is sold to either a social housing company or the houses is sold into a bond. We've got banks, local and international, behind me in doing this a kind of a structured model. So we're saying that we're doing that in Pilansberg, and then we're going to do that in Mahikeng. Doing a corridor in between Botswana and South Africa, we've got a trade relation with Botswana, but we've got a huge blockage that goes into Botswana in terms of vehicles. They close by 10 o'clock and all of that. We are opening what we'll call a 24/7 border center, of trade. But that trade center will also incorporate housing as well, because we want to make sure that people that are sitting there would be able to benefit in terms of staying there overnight and staying there permanently. And you'll find that we'll have a 24 working border between Botswana. Botswana is a border for tourism, and we want to unlock tourism. Gauteng is an economic hub. Northwest is a tourism hub. But people land there. We've got the Lanseria Smart City. We want them to land there and be able to finish up their mile to be able to come back into Joburg. If the Northwest government is interested in us building the road from Joburg to Sun City, I'm willing to invest into that. This road looks exactly the same it was in 1986, to an extent that when I think of driving on this road from Joburg to Sun City, anytime I kind of feel to say that, can I contribute and build this road, maybe toll it so that it can be used, and you will see the influx of traffic that will come into Northwest. So to the province, and I really appreciate MEC Maloy about inviting and asking us to be able to participate. We are a structured finance entity, and that understand finance and that would want to develop using those principles. We are about development of others. And I'm saying to you, I can tell you 1,000 engineers, 1,000 accountants that I can certainly touch and say that I have developed these people over a period of my life. For those who think that I'm younger, I'm actually 47 years old and I'm aging, but the only thing that is keeping me right is the energy that I drink. I drink water, which is the cleanest source of cleaning anything. Without wasting everyone's time, I'd like to say thank you for giving me an opportunity. And I'm back in Northwest, and I'll promise this time I'll also learn the language as well so that I can speak a proper Tswana. Thank you.
Hello? MEC, delegate.
Where is the rep from Sun City? Tebogo, where is he? Oh, and then the mayor of Moses Kotane. He must stand, I can't see him. The MEC for Economic Development. Yeah, and you, not that. Now, that Lanseria Smart City, which was announced by the president, it is supposed to be done by both Gauteng and the Northwest. Now, Gauteng has decided to proceed with the project on its own, and Nodada is involved in that project. Now, I told him that Northwest is going to be involved in that project because that's what the president said. So from now henceforth, Gauteng will no longer proceed with that project alone without the involvement of the Northwest. But secondly, they are also going to invest in this airport, Sun City, and this airport, which is Pilansberg. Now, we have a steering committee consisting of the municipality, traditional leadership, Sun City, the Department of Transport, and so on. So Nodada must be part of that team. You must invite him to that team and so on. They want to invest. I've set the priority for now because they are going to invest in both the two airports, including Dick Munsiwa in Mafikeng. I said the priority for now is that Pilansberg must operate as quickly as possible because everybody, the Chinese delegation said to us, they want to fly direct from China into Pilansberg and then come to Sun City. They can't because of the state of that airport. So it's coming in handy. Let's move with speed in order for that airport to start functioning. So thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. I now want to call upon the young man that I called to come and sit in front, Mike Hill, all the way from Cape Town. Podium is yours.
Yeah.
You're young, eh?
Yes, hello. Okay.
Okay.
Which is the best one? I think this one. Okay, I welcome this opportunity. It's really almost the beginning of the rest of my life. I am, in one record, I am 86 years old, but I'm still a speed walker and a squash player, so don't take me to it. I relate back to the presentation by Max Living in terms of the use of timber. I'm a former English-born Zimbabwean who moved to South Africa in '86 as an insurance broker, corporate, big one. Resigned my job in '91 to throw the rest of my life to find the best means by which people could be involved in the acquiring and building and creating jobs, in getting houses that were fireproof, waterproof, thermally efficient cavity walls, TB resisting, and after a couple of years in which I built 80 houses for Ceres Municipality, it was the Portland Cement Institute who guided me when I asked them, I want to do as much as possible in the factory and as little as possible on site. I want a panel that I can plaster on site. And Steve Creswell, who recently retired as the technical director of Portland Cement, recommended Duramesh, an inert, strong, woven fiberglass material. And he helped me do the tests. It seemed to work. And here we are, 30 years or more later, we're the longest surviving product, ABT product, in South Africa. Has it been an easy road? No. But we have always survived. We've been there. Dr. Mahachi will recall us years ago. NHBRC approve us. We have an Agrement certificate since 2012. We have a timber panel that is 1 meters wide, 1.5 meters wide, 2.476 high or 2.776 high, that is adaptable for housing, for schools, for any kind of building. 2 years ago, we delivered a 364 square meter community center for Kenton-on-Sea. Who paid the money? Berlin University. Why? They wanted to promote their eco-sun solar water purifying system, and it works. So in a way, noting the contribution from the Netherlands, I noted what they did in the 16th, 17th century on the polders, which was to plaster onto porcelain. And Redikit is an adaptation of that. The timber panels, Duramesh over the single reflective membrane, but the silver side facing towards each other across a 114 cavity. Very simple. Right at the moment, I bought a double plot down in Kleinmont, and my my carpenter son is enthusiastically now the main contractor on site, building 2 houses, one for he and his wife, and a double-story ready kit, which I am supposed to be retiring eventually into. So the one aspect that people should notice that although we use timber, the end result is just the normal sort of house that you can see. We can adapt to most plans. I welcome you whenever you have time. Come to our little booth out there. I've got plenty of photographs and illustrations of how it works. Why am I here today? Because we have been identified as perhaps a potential valuable means of raising the economy of the Northwest Province, creating jobs, creating SMMEs. And I hope on Sunday to sign an MOU that by which we agree to train 20 selected contractors into the simple means of erecting ReadyKit. ReadyKit is not a complex, it's minimalist tooling. And we in ReadyKit have agreed to subsidize the training cost of those 20 contractors, and we will also open a factory locally here so that the panels that we manufacture, so that the building kits, the right kit is delivered to the right site at the right time on the right day, and we move forward. Thank you.
They say knowledge is you learn to be knowledgeable. You can't inherit it. But I think my MEC will agree with me that if 20 SMMEs are trained on the technology that Mike has got, he will have made a serious change or a difference in the lives of many people of Northwest. And also the zeal for him to come to the province and avail and develop a factory is going to be a legacy for him and a legacy for the province as well. MEC, delegate.
No, you have already covered that part. I don't see contractors here because my expectation was that you would have identified the 20 that we are going to start with, but it's something that we'll talk about at a later stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. Okay, now I am going to request all the presenters it's the time for questions and answers. While Tate Lerofulo is preparing to deal with the signing of the MOUs, which is a ceremony that is going to happen here. Can I request HOD to deal with questions and answers while we also prepare for that part, which is the signing ceremony. MEC will announce who the department is signing with. I think we've already started to see where it is going with the different presenters that have come on the podium. Thank you. HOD. By delegation.
Okay, thank you very much, MC. Can I see by show of hands if there are any questions that need clarification or that need answers? Just raise your hand so we can give you an opportunity. I see one hand this side. Another hand here in front. Any hands this side? Okay, let's start with the two. I'll start, where's the roving mic? Can we borrow, get another mic or borrow MEC's mic in the meantime? Give it to, oh, he has one. Give it to that gentleman.
Good morning. My name is Ben Gumbi from the host community, Bakubung community. I'm the chairperson of Kubu Property. Mine is more of a comment to say, MEC, we are happy to have a leadership. That's exactly what we need in this province. A leadership that is proactive. And we support you in all the initiatives that we have taken. We have shown leadership and we support you. But most of all, as a chairperson of Kubu Property Development, I want to say we are ready to embrace the new technology. We welcome the new technology. We want to see change. We want to see Northwest. We want to see our rural communities like Bakubu, Barateo, being turned to a city. We will pride ourselves to say we brought about the change. That's the comment that I wanted to just share today. Thank you very much, MEC. We are behind you, we support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Regumbi, for that comment. I think your project is actually ready. This is the Kubu property in the Sun City area. They are going to develop another smart city around Sun City. So the partnerships are here. Money is here. Technology is here. MEC Molapisi.
Thanks very much, facilitator. Now, Chair, my question is to, is it Maxi Living? No?
Okay, Maxi Living, that's Arthur Besaiden-Hout from Netherlands.
Netherlands, yes. I just want to find out, South Africa is prone of structural fires, more especially during your winter season and all that. Now, in the presentation of the alternative material that they are using, you didn't speak to issues of risk affected with that, because many of our people, because of their background and all that, they use your paraffins and other things. So if maybe you can just address that concern for us, I will be very much happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's take the third comment or question this side before we allow you, Arthur, to respond. Okay, noted.
Thank you, HOD. MEC, actually, let me say all protocol observed. My name is Councillor Mgida from Naledi Municipality. I'm the MMC for Community Services, MEC. So, Zikuta MEC, you've been giving municipality who are present here, So, as the municipality was requesting, you must acknowledge Naledi municipalities here. Because of Naledi municipality, MEC, we have the project of the Khoisan village. I think in the presentation that were presented here, they will fit somewhere in the Khoisan village. And also in Coleridge, we have a serious problem of housing that have been built before I was born, whereby Hodula the race that being called Kalats, but Hari Pitima Kalat, now we are the Khoi, we have the Khoi and the Sons. So, Renade, problem about those houses, MEC, Dikopan. And most of them are, but next door, Baumana. You can even see them, those people are fighting. Dinadidi cracks, and all people are living there like people the age of Mr. Miles there. My grandmothers, they've lived there forever. So I was pleading to the MEC, can you please, from all the project that was presented here, one of them take it to those communities because they feel like they've been left out. Our government is not taking care of them. It's only looking after black people. Color, they feel horrid. They've been left out of the system of the government.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think the MEC really had you. He's making a play with the MEC that now ladies here, MEC, please consider us. He's just raising a hand to say, consider us as you distribute these gifts today. Over to you, Arthur, if you may respond to the question by MEC Molapisi.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the myths about wood, and that people think it's you make a braai with it, but the actual truth is the oldest building in the world stands in Japan, and it was built in 605. That's really, really old. And then the tallest building in the world is built in 1506, and it's in Austria, and it's 56 meters tall. So the myths about wood, that it burns and all that stuff, is really just because we use it to make fires. Treat it well, like we do, and having the technology with it, it burns at 0.5 millimeters per minute. A structure like this building will burn at 6 millimeters per minute, which is 5 times faster than that of wood. The other thing which I didn't even address is the health benefits of wood. In the Netherlands and in the UK, they are putting wood into hospitals because it's found that the psychological effects of being in what we feel as nature, like wood, helps us heal better. We've seen it in our own schools where we've built our structure with wood. We have happier kids. So there's a lot of myths about wood, but we can talk about that for a long time. But really, the things about fire, with all respect, if we would build our homes the way I built them for it, there will be no paraffin because we will infrastructure the homes properly so that everybody has equality to what is in the homes. But wood is absolutely the new high-tech, the best thing to build with. Does that answer the question?
I actually also propose that in addition to the bilateral, when MEC visits the project on Monday afternoon, he should invite MEC Molapisi to have a look, because this project is a mixed development. And when you look at it, they did not segregate who's going to occupy which house. They are equally furnished with top-class furnishings and finishings that people who do not have are able to enjoy the same benefits as those who have. There's a way that they do that, and they allow even a person who earns only 10,000 rent to occupy such a house, rent it for 1,500 rent a month. So the haves are subsidizing the have-nots. We're living on the same standards in the same area. Our children are benefiting equally. It's a very interesting model. I would propose that MEC invites you to accompany him. Okay, I see the young man wants to make a comment. Mr. Hill. I noted your hand that side.
If I must just deal with the question about fire, in my ancient age, I forgot to mention, of course, that the Duramesh receives a 25 mil render of a plaster 116 lime, cement and sand, and it's worked very well over many years. We have a 60-minute fire rating. I have one of my houses in Guguletu with Prudence living in it, has had 2 internal fires, And also a taxi war outside. The bullet is still sitting in the cavity. So technically we have survived, and we do not really fear fire, although internal fire, regardless of the construction, remains always a threat.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Yeah, maybe just to deal with the Naledi question quickly. Now, Naledi, if you go to your program on session 3, which is supposed to start from 10 to 3 to 3 o'clock, we are going to have a visual presentation from Dr. Cabral that is from Canada. After that presentation, we'll then tell you what is going to happen in RSM, not Naledi specifically, RSM. So that will answer your question, but I wouldn't want to speak about it up until we get that presentation from Dr. Cabral. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I see a smile on his face. Thank you, MEC. Let me take that question. Is there any other question? I think it's the last question for this session. Thank you.
This is Khuli Sithole from KZN Department of Human Settlements. I would like to say all protocol observed. Mine is on the very first speaker, the BRICS WPA. As someone who's coming from the province that is very prone to disasters, I'm very much interested in what was presented as in the transitional residential units, because I think that is going to be fit for purpose for our temporary housing relief, especially for our issues that relates to those disaster victims. So I wanted more information on the transitional residential units. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's going to take that? Okay, Ms. Zulu.
Thank you, Madam. I think quick answer to you is we are trying, as ABT service providers, we're trying to move away from temporary residential units, because the cost of putting up a temporary residential unit at a 20%, you actually get a decent permanent structure. That's number one. But number two, what we're bringing as BRICS WBA, it is not only technologies that are speaking to weather conditions per area, but what we are looking at is also bringing in technologies that are dealing with exactly that, flood issues. It is stormwater drainage systems, it's various technologies that have been brought in that are dealing with different kinds of issues, including the design itself, because some of the issues are really as a factor of design. Have we designed for the purposes of that? Does climate change mean rain patterns have changed? And if yes, we design to that effect. So we're bringing technologies that are from design right through to a finished structure. So it is more of a collective. And yes, we are in talks with your provincial government. I can also confirm that with you right now. Okay, thank you. Hope I've answered you.
Thank you very much, Lebohang. I think you are clarified. There'll be a further session of interaction after this and even in the evening. Seeing that the next item of signing of MOUs, Mr. Lerefolo is not ready, we will then invite the Ministry of Defense and Military Veterans, General Mokwape and General Mashwala, and their team from Swiss Company and Hitachi. They will introduce those. Let's welcome our two generals to the stage. Thank you.
Dumela Mbagolo, Dumela Program Director, Dumela MEC ya Kokdamo Northwest Province, Nakina Keith Mukwape, a retired Major General of the National Defense Force. Kitsamali Re Mashwala Liena is a retired Major General for Defense Force. Yano. And then of course, Ritsamali, a team here, Kai Kalosang, Kenseria Kopeli, but represent a Swiss company, Iran waste to energy, right? So, co-defense, we are governed by a defense review. And this book, this defense review, amongst the many things that it says about the state of readiness that our defense force must be in terms of human beings and equipment, levels of training and understanding of the security threats. It says, if there isn't a serious security threat, the skills and the competencies that are within the defense force must be utilized to help state departments, especially if those state departments have got their funding, have got their backlogs, and haven't got sufficient human capital. And that's where we come in. And as we come in, we ensure that those departments take the lead. We don't overwhelm them. It's like when we help the police, we are at the back. We don't have the power of arresting, but we ensure that the culprits don't overwhelm the police. So also, we could go to any other government department, whether it is basic education, and they would be saying, we've got so many schools that when it rains, the mud walls just fall. Or we've got so many toilets that are swallowing children, or we've got so many other things. So what the minister has done, the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans has got a council called the Reserve Force Council that advises her on the component of the part-time force within the Defense Force. Now again, in this book and in the Defense Act, it is that post-1994, South Africa does not need a big permanent defense force. So they said, the Act says, there shall be a small permanent force and a sufficiently large part-time component. Now, that part-time component is very much like yourselves sitting here. In your private lives, one may be a lawyer, one is a student, one is a teacher, but they know after hours where do they report to, over weekends, where do they get their training. And so what is happening is this Reserve Force Council that I chair advises civil society about how the part-time force system works without compromising your private sector or private life. You give part of your time to the reserve system. So we have signed with the department that raised their hands, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. They said, we need your capabilities. You have got so many reserves that mostly are unemployed. You've got so many military veterans out there who haven't been able to get all their other benefits. They are unemployed, hungry, and desolate. Can you be able to amass them? The entire country, amass them, and by mayor, rather by town, by city, by village, be able to help in the rehabilitation of dysfunctional infrastructure. So we signed with MISA, which you know very well. I don't know whether my PowerPoint presentation is ready. But be that as it may, we've signed, therefore, with MISA, and MISA said it is responsible for ensuring that basic service delivery happens and that infrastructure is permanently up to speed, which is not the case in the country now. So MISA said they will then lead us into those projects. They will ensure that they mobilize the monies, and they will ensure that if the defense reserves and military veterans are able to present themselves, not only as individuals, but if they have their own companies as well, they are free to come into this very broad space that is the responsibility and the mandate of municipality. So what then needed to happen was we got to have a pilot. We got to have a pilot. And when we talked to the political leadership of the Northwest, it said, but this is exactly what we want. You're not going to overwhelm our municipalities. You are coming to assist. And you are not going to be asking monies from us. After all, so many of us are municipalities in distress. You are going to find monies from elsewhere and bring that on the table. So that is the situation. We've signed with them up to 2025, but they said, however numbers you bring, in 2025, we wouldn't have sorted out anything. So this agreement that I have here, which I will make sure the MEC makes available to all of you, this agreement is up to 2025 extendable. So what do we then do, as this agreement demands of us? We looked around and said, of all the ills that the municipalities are faced with, which is the most pressing? And you said, no, the most pressing is the heaps and heaps and heaps of rubbish at every corner of a township, everywhere. But also, there is a problem with electricity, power in this country. So we got this Swiss company that takes waste, generates out of that waste energy. And they said, General, what we need from you, one, is commitment of minimum tonnages up to the gate of the landfill so that our machines can run throughout. We need you to tell the municipalities to give us specific pieces of land on which we will build these plants with our own money. We then need you people to select competent people and workers that we shall train so that once we have recouped our investment, we then transfer this project and the municipality will buy it at R1 or whatever the case might be, and they then leave. So the build, operate, train, and transfer model looked quite interesting. And we said, so even apart from the fact that when we relate with the municipalities, whether it is about potholes or it's about repairing this, that, or that, let's see whether we can work with this pilot. And we are immensely gratified by the fact that MEC Tumile Nunu Maloi said, I hear what you say. Come to a gathering of the mayors. Let them ask you all sorts of questions. But more than any other thing, if those Swiss are here, let them come. So I'm going to ask Mayor Ponta, who is the representative of the Swiss company, Hitachi Zollstock Nova, to present to us what they're about. I think
Before we do that, where is the HOD of COCTA? He was sitting next to me. He is supposed to be here particularly for this presentation.
we can load, let's load whilst the HOD comes. We can load the presentation of Hitachi as of the Japanese, and they explained to me that it's not part of the Hitachi that is with ESCOM. It is the Hitachi of energy, so it's Hitachi, and the other parts are Swiss, and they are based in Zurich. We were with their representatives who came here on Monday, but as luck would not have it, one of them had to leave yesterday, and the one that we're supposed to come with here last night got a note from his family. I can mention it that his 21-year-old daughter attempted suicide, and the family says, come like yesterday. So he's catching the 12 o'clock flight back to Switzerland. But we're looking forward to hearing what this relationship will bring to the Northwest Province.
Yeah, no, we can proceed, General. The other HOD is here. He'll brief this other one who just decided to go AWOL.
Yeah. Also, okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toby Lemponda. I'm the Senior Manager of Hitachi Zollstock Innova. Our head office is based in Switzerland, Zurich specifically, and I am based in Pretoria. My job is to cover up all the projects in Africa. So it is the question that that comes up every time when you say Hitachi, they think of the Madupi. We don't do power plant, we do waste to energy, strictly waste to energy. Waste to energy towards a sustainable future. You can move down while I go. So in Africa, waste management is a crisis. Although in South Africa, I've been to Kenya, Tanzania, the management it's not so good. But in South Africa, the waste management is 100% going there. And our aim is to eliminate the landfills. So other questions that normally comes, they said, what are you going to do with the pile-up of the waste that has been there for years in the landfills? We do what we call a waste mining. We mix it with the new waste and produce energy out of that. And remember, our plants, they don't use diesel or petrol. So it's just, we mix it with water, then it produces electricity. And on top of the electricity, there's steam also that comes out that can be sold to the mines. So in Sub-Sahara alone, the current situation in the market opportunity, we were doing some research. These are the statistics that we come up from the Sub-Sahara region regarding waste. The first African waste to energy, we've got one in Africa that is in Ethiopia. It wasn't built by us, it was built by China. And so far it's not working. So there was what we call engineering went wrong. So in Africa, we can use about 80% of the waste. Oh, by the way,
We not, the recyclable, we don't touch it, remember. We only use the waste that is, you can't do, your mattresses, your umbrellas, your whatsoever, which is solid waste, it goes to our plant. And our plant runs about 365 days a year, because when we do maintenance, let's say you've got a plant that gives you 38 megawatts, the first line we do 12, the second line do another 12 megawatts, the third line another megawatt. So when we do the maintenance, we do it line by line. So we don't come a place where we have to shut down the whole plant and do maintenance. And because we bring in the technology, we maintain it through its lifespan, because we cannot bring a technology then expect somebody else who doesn't know the technology to maintain it. To build this kind of plants, it takes us 36 months. The standard plants, it takes about 180,000 tons per year, approximately 500 tons per day. So our solution, the waste, when we start these plants, they no longer go to the landfills, they go direct to the plant. But in South Africa, we've got those waste pickers. We have come up with a plan that we will do a sorting station where they can still do their sorting, so they don't come up with other issues to disturb the plant. So we've got more than 600 references around the world. We've been around. We've got brochures on our company with lots of information, that side, and our business cards there. And yeah, another thing that I can touch on is that the size of the land that is required by this plant is 6 hectares only. So you can do from 12 megawatts to 200 megawatts, depending on your waste. Yeah, I think that is it. Another research that we have done in 2017, comparing South Africa and Switzerland. In Switzerland, in 2017, they come up with 8 million tons of waste. In South Africa, it was 48 million tons of waste. Then in 2017, they created 25,000 jobs, and the electricity that was produced there was, it helps 350,000 houses. So we are very much aware of the emission. If the emission is there, we pay penalty on that. So we are really strict on sticking to the right emission. Thank you. Any questions?
So for us, ladies and gentlemen, MEC, it's that General Mashwala here works with the presidential task team on the cleansing of the database of military veterans. He's been working with former Vice President, Deputy President Mabuza. He's working now with Paul Mashatile. So we know every veteran, the entire country, every village, everywhere, and we're going to empower them, and that they must see that the political leadership is interested in giving them job opportunities, but also skill them in specific fields such as. We also have a defense reserves database for every soldier who ever had a force number, and we're including all former SADF, Uputatswana, Venda, Siskai, Transkei, and the liberation movements. We've got them all behind this agreement. And lastly, we want to see clean human settlements that can attract tourists, that can improve health, and that can generally beautify our country. that is the situation. Already, if there's general take from yourselves, the MEC would like us to sit with his officials and thresh out the detail. Obviously, they can't come with their money without going via the Reserve Bank. We've got to make sure that all those processes are in place. And we must make sure that the people we bring forth are competent and not the do-it type. Thank you.
No, don't leave the stage. General, don't leave the stage. You must take questions. Don't leave. Proceed, Program Director, is questions now.
Can we allow the questions to come through? The roving mic at the back, there's a hand up. I'll take 3 questions at a time, then I'll allow the generals to then respond. I only have 1 hand so far. Another hand is that side. The roving mics are here. I have a second hand there. Do I have a third hand? I have a third and a fourth hand. The first hand is right at the back.
I've got a mic.
Okay. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much. Lina Lakaki Dinake Mutona. My name is Dinake Mutona. Thank you, General, for the presentation. I'm also a military veteran. I'm from Ngakamudi Remulama District Municipality. Just briefly, we've been establishing a desk within the Ramotsiri Muilwa Municipality, the Sanva desk. So I'm quite excited about your proposal or your pitch at the front there. So what I'm trying to bring in is how do we collaborate? Because myself, I'm from the cannabis and hemp industry. So when looking at the presentation that has been done and looking at the emission that would be coming thereof, I'm thinking collaboration in terms of planting hemp around such industries, because we know the capabilities of hemp in terms of sequestering carbon emissions and also just being compliant with the environmental impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Second question. The mic, that side. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Firstly, to give thanks and recognize the General and our reserve force for the sacrifices in laying down their lives. I'm speaking from Bakubung Smart City Project, which my colleague, my chairperson, spoke earlier. Secondly, to acknowledge and thank the MEC for facilitating such an inclusive summit. The importance of our comment is not necessarily a question, is that one, we will also suggest that in all the major development, we so wish that the MEC and the legislatures can begin to prescribe a minimum equity participation, not even equity participation, opportunity participation. That we develop contact and interact with the generals and say, how do we begin to infuse them into our development as well, in acknowledgement of the role and sacrifices they've made for our freedom. That's a comment and an acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you. Third question.
Thank you. My name is Zimbini Mdulwa from Northwest Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering if the plant could also use farm waste to generate the electricity. Okay, all right, thank you.
General, there are three questions. The first one is to check whether there could be collaboration with the initiatives done by the team in Mahikeng. The second question is, it's not a question, but it's a comment to say, can there be a prescription of minimum participation in projects? And how do they infuse your work into the projects? The third one is the use of farm waste towards generation of power. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. To try and attempt and answer the first question, if I get you correctly, you want to plant hemp to sequestrate carbon. So basically, the requirement for the plant is 6 hectares. So we can sit down and see how we can incorporate that ideology, around, sequestrating the carbon within the perimeters of the plants. But it's a great idea. Thank you.
Answering the last question, yes, our plants, they do take organic waste. On that one, you use organic waste, you produce electricity and fertilizer. On the municipality, solid waste will produce electricity and steam. Thank you.
Now, what they have said to us is that once they have built, operated, trained our people, and transferred the project to things here, we've got to make sure, and that's how we're going to work with government, to make sure that they are in the grid of ESCOM and agree at the tariffs that will inform them that there is a return on their investment. But more than that, this 10% equity that they say they want to remain with in the project actually means that they want to show that there is sustainability rather than believing that they will make money in projects in South Africa. So that sustainability part is very important for us. What happens to the 90%? The 90% includes the funders, because these are technology people, includes the funders, plus whatever investors in the country or in the province would be interested in participating. So it becomes a business opportunity in as much as it's about transfer of technology that we need. And in that sense, when we work with the MEC, we'll be working with all the formations of the veterans in the Northwest and ensuring that veterans, there aren't fake defense reserves, ensuring that obviously you can't expect an 80-year-old man to be working in the project just because he's a veteran. We got to open up and say that they've got children, they've got relatives. But more than any other thing, what we sell as the military is our set of capabilities, our understanding of command and control, our understanding of teamwork, understanding of communication, trust, and more than any other thing, discipline. 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock and nothing else. So we believe that we can be the leaders in the renovation and rehabilitation of infrastructure by bringing in the youth, by bringing in the women and people of physical disabilities. And we're extremely happy that government has now included military veterans in the 3 vulnerable groups. The 4th vulnerable group, on top of women, youth, disability, is the military veterans. To that extent, we are playing in the 30% set aside of public service procurement, which has been put aside for the vulnerable groups. So MISA has said to us, they are going to ensure that whatever companies come in, if they've got military veterans, all the procurement processes, as by government rules, are going to be observed, but the entities that we come with when we deal with the COCTA and municipalities aren't those that compete with the private sector in the 70%. So there's going to be no private company, Mokwape and Mokwape, saying that why is that little company given the responsibility of sorting out all the potholes in Lichtenberg? No, no, no. That's a different thing sitting on the 30%. We would, of course, make sure with the skills of General Mashala, ensure that even amongst the veterans themselves, there isn't competition of why me, why the other person. All these issues of governance, we're going to ensure. Thank you, sir.
There was a hand up there, which was the 4th hand. It's covered. I see no hand. Hand over to my MEC to
happen because I've had my session with the generals. At lunchtime, now your team, you must not leave. At lunchtime, you will then have a session with the 2 HODs, particularly the HOD of COCTA, in order to set up now timelines as to when are we starting with this important initiative. With the generals that this pilot will be in the Northwest. So we are starting immediately in the Northwest before they can go to any other province. So those things must be finalized today with an understanding, Dr. Bole, that at the end we'll then announce as to what is going to happen, when, and so on. We are no longer just working without timelines. Here we are using the SMART principle, because everything that we do, that thing must be time bound. So lunchtime, Dr. Bole, don't go AWOL. Yourself and Member Mahlobo, you meet with the generals and the Swiss delegation, you finalize this thing. It's already finalized, by the way. There are agreements between them, MISA, and so on. What is left is implementation. Thank you very much.
Right. Pardon my interruption. I have a question. Am I allowed to take it? It comes from. But in hindsight, when you think about it, I mean, the Swiss have been doing well financially and as a country for quite well. So this is a model that actually works quite well for a developed country that's trying to strive away from using coal and nuclear energy and trying to find cleaner sources of generating power. We have a serious problem. So now my question is, in terms of feasibility, is it logical to have these factories in place, or to use solar, for instance, as an alternative to generate power? So is this in the best interest of having power in the country to solve the load shedding crisis, or is it in the best interest of actually having money to the stakeholders? Because I understand there should be a return on investment, but then is it in the best interest of actually having money for the people involved, or solving the problem that we have of load shedding?
carbon emissions? Shouldn't we look for other alternative renewable energies? It says, whether are we not going back if we're taking this kind of approach?
Well, you remember that, Program Director, you remember that what they talk about when they talk about solutions to energy problems, they talk about a mix. You can't rule out fossil fuels and say that everything that comes from the Middle East or Angola or Nigeria oil, we don't need it any longer. We don't need coal any longer. Now we are on renewable because it's clean. Renewable, they will also tell you, even if they do waste to energy, that there is going to be a residual of waste that you wouldn't know what to do with. Just like there would be a residual if you do nuclear, what do you do with it? And they say they will case it and put it in the sea. So we're talking about a mix here, and we're not talking about one set of a solution competing with the other. So the waste is not, and the waste generation, what we know is that it's permanent. And you'll see when we sit with the officials of the department and their engineers, and there's George here who comes from MISA. George, can you raise your hand? George is responsible for MISA in the Bojanala Platinum and in the Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When we sit with them, they will be telling us about how much an individual on the average in the Northwest, how much does that individual generate waste per day? So that they work out their figures per month, because if we can tell them that those figures don't justify their building a plant, they're gone. You see? But even in the most advanced countries, like Switzerland itself, their plants are big, and there is obviously always energy that will be produced. So I think I'm answering your question. We're talking about a mix. We haven't answered your question.
I think what my colleague was trying to do is to explain to you that the issue of generating electricity is in various ways. This particular presentation is aimed at addressing the issue of waste to energy. There are issues of battery storages which can also be utilized. And by using this other one, it does not necessarily mean the other sources of generating energy will then be abandoned. We are talking of concurrent activities. And for that reason, we have welcomed them precisely because they are building, operating, and transferring those skills to our people. It's one way of ensuring that we have electricity. So, whether solar panels, it does not necessarily mean they will be abandoned. I think the province will be working towards whatever means, ways, which can be effected to address the issue of load shedding, that they will be welcomed. So it's one way, and it's aimed also at addressing the issue of waste. We have Hammanskraal, where people today, they've got cholera, because certain things have not been addressed. So look at it in that fashion. It's not one solution in terms of addressing the issue of electricity.
The thing is...
Wait. Can we agree that you engage with the generals outside this? And secondly, protocol says when the MEC has spoken, you had a chance to ask questions, but then You did not ask at the time when I was calling people to ask questions. MEC?
Yeah, no, that debate, we are not going to engage in it in this summit, unfortunately. It's a debate for other platforms, renewables, vis-a-vis our base load and so on. Those are the issues that we have dealt with at another level. And I suppose that all South Africans, they do read newspapers, watch television and so on. They would have understood what the Minister of Electricity was talking about when he spoke about this mix and why we can't abandon what we have now, because what we have now, we must use it. And what is key in this presentation is that there is waste. You need to collect those waste, you need to beautify our towns and so on. Once we have done it, what do you do with that waste? This is the answer. You convert that waste into energy and so on. But for now, we can't be dealing with renewables and so on in this meeting. I think that's the matter that we have dealt with. But at lunchtime, people can still pursue this discussion and so on. It's a discussion that is there in the public, nationally and so on. But now we are focusing on this one. Refuse removal, taking the waste, converting it into energy and so on, which is quite going to be helpful, etc., etc. Now, you will meet with the HODs. In that meeting, the legal advisor will be part of that engagement. This chapter is now closed.
Thank you,
Soldiers
MEC.
are now speaking.
Thank you, MEC. The soldiers have spoken. I want to promote small business. For 1 minute, can I promote the small emerging businesses? After that minute, we will then break for lunch. The lunch is going to run for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, can we all be back here for the next session? Can I allow the SMMEs to come in and give us what they are capable of doing? Can we give space or they will from? Please, my ladies, come to the front. Can you walk faster than you are doing? We are managing time. You are in business as well. Time is managed properly, then you will make money. Time is money. There you are.
Yalela pikoko, yalela kari pikoko, yalela pikoko, kari pikoko, yalela pikoko, wane yalela kari pikoko, yalela pikoko, rona rebonye se onyana, haresane se onyana. sona sile sewanya. Are sewanya. Are sona sewanya. Kasambetiwe. Beti sewanya la. Are sile sewanya. Are sona sewanya. Are sona sewanya. Kasambetiwe. Binake.
All right, can we? All right, second half. Bopa, comrade, Bopa. Bopa, comrade. Okay, okay. Thank you. Can you break for lunch? Let us be here.